everyone, listen to me carefully. There was a man who grew up in a town where everyone told him what he couldn't be. You're too slow. You're not smart enough. No one from here ever makes it out. He believed it for a while. His mind became his prison, and he didn't even see the bars. Every opportunity that came his way, he dismissed it, not because it wasn't real, but because his mind had already decided, you're not good enough. But something shifted the day he met someone who asked him one simple question. What if the only thing holding you back isn't life, is the way you think about life? That question haunted him. It echoed in his thoughts. And for the first time, he started to pay attention, not to what others were saying, but to what he was saying to himself. He realized the loudest voice in his life was the one in his own head. And it wasn't a friend, it was a critic, a saboteur, a thief, stealing every dream before it even had a chance to live. So he made a decision. I will take back my mind, not with force, not overnight, but with discipline, awareness, and courage. Because when you control your mind, you don't just control your reactions, you control your future. You control your peace. You control your power. Think about it. A person who can master their thoughts can walk into any room and not be shaken. They can face failure and not be destroyed. They can feel fear and still move forward. You don't need to fix your environment first. You don't need everyone to believe in you. You need one thing, to believe that your mind is not your enemy, it's your greatest tool. And once you own that, you can control everything. There's a place where dreams are born and where they die. A place that no one sees but everyone lives in. It's not your job, not your home, not your circumstances. It's your mind. The most powerful battles of your life are not fought in the world around you. They're fought in silence behind your eyes where no one else can hear the war raging. And if you don't recognize this battlefield, you'll keep losing battles you never knew you were in. A young woman once had a talent so rare it could have changed her world. She could draw things that looked like they were alive. Teachers praised her, friends admired her. But inside her mind, a voice whispered, you'll never be good enough. Who do you think you are? So she stopped drawing, not because her hands failed her, but because her thoughts betrayed her. She walked away from her gift, not because it wasn't real, but because her mind convinced her that her fear was more real than her potential. That's the battlefield. You don't need enemies when your own thoughts are trained against you. The moment you allow fear, doubt, guilt, and insecurity to sit in the driver's seat of your mind, your life will go in a direction you never meant to travel. You'll sabotage relationships because you think you're unlovable. You'll ignore opportunities because you think you're unqualified. You'll give up too soon because you believe it's already too late. But here's the truth, no one may have ever told you. The battlefield is also where the victory begins. If you can learn to win there before a word is spoken, before a step is taken, then the world outside you becomes manageable, even conquerable. Your job isn't to control everything happening to you. It's to control what happens inside you when life shows up. Every great person you admire, every leader, every trailblazer, every survivor, do you know where their strength really came from? Not from muscles, money, or massive support systems. It came from mastering the territory in their mind. They faced the same doubts, the same fear, the same resistance, but they stood their ground in the arena of thought and said, this will not define me. You can change your hair, your clothes, your location, but if your mind remains the same, your results will too. That's why it feels like life is on repeat. Different people, same pain, new day, old fears. Because the war wasn't won where it needed to be, in the thought patterns that guide every decision, every reaction, every response. But there's hope in this. Tremendous hope. Because it means you don't need perfect conditions to create a better life. You don't need everything outside of you to line up. All you need is the courage to fight for your mind like your future depends on it, because it does. The battlefield isn't meant to break you, it's meant to reveal you. And the moment you choose to stop being a victim of your own thoughts is the moment you step into a power most people never touch. The battle is in your mind, and that's exactly where your victory begins. She didn't know how it started. Maybe it was one thought, small, quiet, harmless. I'm not ready. But it didn't stop there. That single idea planted roots, and soon it became, I'm not good enough, then I'll never succeed, and eventually, why even try? It was just a thought. But that one thought rewrote the direction of her life. That's the danger no one warns us about. Your thoughts aren't just passing clouds, they're seeds. Every single one carries the power to grow into actions, habits, and outcomes. Whether it lifts you or limits you, the life you live is shaped by the thoughts you entertain. People often think their circumstances are the problem, but more often than not, the real problem is a story playing on loop in their mind. You don't respond to life itself, you respond to what you believe about life. You don't avoid risk because it's risky, you avoid it because you think you're not ready. You don't stay in toxic relationships because they're good. You stay because you think it's all you deserve. And that's why what you allow into your mind matters more than anything else. Your thoughts are architects. Every word you say to yourself becomes a brick. Every belief you accept becomes a wall or a window. Some people build prisons in their minds, then wonder why they feel stuck. Others build doors, bridges, skylines, and the only difference? What they allow themselves to think, believe, and repeat. Someone once said, you are what you eat, but I'd argue you become what you think. Imagine two people standing in the same storm. One sees it and thinks this is the end. The other sees the same clouds and thinks this is just the beginning. One crumbles, the other climbs. Same storm, different outcome. Why? Not because of the rain, but because of the mindset. The thoughts you hold shape the emotions you feel. And those emotions, they drive the decisions you make. And the decision, they shape your destiny. Trace it backward, and it always leads to thought. Every achievement begins as an idea. Every failure begins with belief. So the question isn't, what do I want to do with my life? The better question is, what do I allow myself to think about myself, my future, my worth, and my potential? Because if you keep telling yourself you're not enough, you'll shrink from every room you were born to lead in. If you think your past defines you, you'll keep running from a future that's already yours. If you tell yourself you're too late, too tired, too broken, your life will start obeying those beliefs without resistance. But change your thoughts and your life has no choice but to follow. That's the real power. You don't have to force change on the outside when transformation happens on the inside. Start feeding your mind with thoughts of possibility, with truth, with vision. Protect it like your life depends on it, because it does. Your mind listens to everything you say to it. Make sure the words are building something worth living in. Most people want to change their life by changing everything outside of themselves. A new job, a new relationship, a new routine. But they overlook the one change that makes all the difference. Discipline over their own mind. You see, the most dangerous habit isn't what you do with your hands, it's what you allow in your head. Because whatever you allow to live in your mind eventually takes residence in your decisions. And most people never get that far in the fight. Not because they're weak, but because they were never taught that the real battle isn't external, it's internal. No one sees you when you wake up in the morning and immediately think, I'm already behind. No one hears the mental debate before every big decision. Should I even try? What if I fail? What if I'm not enough? You fight those battles alone. And that's why mastering your mind isn't a one-time event. It's a daily discipline. Let me ask you something. What's the first voice you hear when you face pressure? Is it the voice of doubt or the voice of power? Because here's the truth. The voice that wins is the one you've been feeding the most. You don't wake up confident. You train your thoughts to believe in your ability even when the evidence isn't there yet. You don't automatically feel peace. You train your thoughts to focus on what you can control instead of everything you can't. You don't naturally make wise decisions under pressure. You discipline your thoughts long before the pressure shows up. That's what self-mastery really is. Not the absence of fear or weakness, but the discipline to guide your mind through it. You don't need life to be easy. You need your mind to be steady, anchored, trained. Think of it this way. Your mind is like a wild horse. If you don't train it, it will run in every direction, chasing fears, dragging you into distractions, pulling you away from the path. But once you learn how to hold the reins, once you learn to direct it instead of being directed by it, you don't lose control when life shifts. You rise above it. You lead your mind instead of following it into every storm. And this discipline isn't loud, it's quiet. It's the decision to stop replaying old failures. It's the discipline to challenge your own negative thoughts and replace them. It's the consistency to choose focus when your feelings are screaming for escape. You can be the most talented person in the room, but if your thoughts are undisciplined, you'll sabotage every opportunity before it even begins. You can have the biggest dreams, but if your mind is ruled by fear, they'll stay locked inside your imagination. And you can have every reason to succeed, but if your thoughts are always doubting, defending, and distracting, you'll end up exhausted and confused, wondering why nothing's working. But when your mind becomes disciplined, everything changes. You stop reacting and start responding. You stop chasing and start building. You stop surviving and start leading. And you no longer need everything around you to be perfect, because you gain mastery over the one thing that actually determines your outcome, your own thoughts. It is a moment when everything around you still looks the same struggles, same pressure, same noise, but you are not the same anymore. Something shifts quietly, deeply. And it's not because the world changed, it's because you took control of your mind. And here's what most people never realize. When you command your mind, you don't just change your attitude, you change your entire life. Because the mind doesn't just process reality, it creates it. The thoughts you allow, the focus you choose, the meanings you assign to situations, they all add up. They shape how you see yourself, how you respond to stress, how you treat people, how you treat yourself. That's why mastering your mind isn't about positive thinking. It's about powerful thinking, clear, focused, aligned with who you want to become, not who you've been. It's about standing in front of the chaos and saying, you can spin all you want, but my mind is not available today. When you get to that level of awareness, distractions lose their grip. Negative people can't rent space in your head anymore. Fear doesn't get the final vote. Because you've learned to set the thermostat instead of reacting to the temperature. Think about it. When you control your mind, you can step into rooms where you used to shrink and take up space without apology. You can take risks that once felt impossible. Not because fear disappeared, but because it stopped being in charge. You can walk through rejection, heartbreak, disappointment, and still keep moving, because your identity isn't rooted in outcomes anymore. It's rooted in your mental command center. And when you've built strength there, when your internal world becomes stronger than the chaos outside, That's when you become unstoppable. People will look at you and think, how are they so calm? How are they so focused? And they won't know the war you fought in your thoughts. They won't see the days you woke up in doubt, but still showed up in discipline. They won't feel the nights your mind screamed at you to quit, and you whispered back, no, we're not done yet. That's what real power looks like. Not loud, not flashy, but deeply rooted in mental mastery. You can lead a business, raise a family, build a legacy, or chase a dream, but if your mind is scattered, afraid, or constantly distracted, everything suffers. But when your thoughts are aligned with vision, when your focus is sharper than your fear, when your emotions report to your purpose, you move differently, you decide differently, you live from the inside out, not the outside in. So no, it's not about controlling people. It's not about controlling circumstances. It's about mastering the only thing you ever had full control over, your own mind. And when you do that, truly do that, everything else starts to align. So now you know the real battle was never out there. Not in your job, your past, your failures, or the opinions of others. It was always inside, in the quiet space between your ears, where your future is either built or buried. And here's the truth. You don't need permission to take back your mind. You don't need everything to make sense. You don't even need to feel ready. You just need to decide right now that you are done living small in a world where you were born to be powerful. That you will no longer rent your mind out to fear. That you will no longer be loyal to your limitations. You were never meant to be controlled by emotions that lie to you, thoughts that betray you, or doubts that didn't come from your truth. You were built with power. And that power begins with a thought, a new thought, one that says, I lead my mind, I own my life, and I choose my future. So start today. Don't wait for motivation. Build discipline. Don't wait for peace. Create it. Don't wait for the storm to pass. Train your mind to walk through it like a leader. Because once your mind is under your command, nothing can command your life without your permission. Not fear, not failure, not the past, nothing. You are the gatekeeper of your destiny, and the gate opens from the inside. Now go, lead, build, rise. Your future is waiting on the strength of your mind, and it's ready now. Good luck on your journey, and thank you for listening. Stay powerful, stay focused, and never stop becoming everything you were meant to be.